Okay, hi everyone. Today we're going to be looking at how to evaluate indefinite integrals. So here are two examples that we're going to focus on. So for the first one, we want to take the integral of 5 over t squared plus 4t squared. So really what you want to do, honestly, is to try to rewrite everything in terms of, like with their exponents. So for me, the first thing I'd see is this 5 over t squared is really the same thing as 5t to the negative 2, and then 4t squared dt. I'm going to kind of show you step by step what this looks like. Eventually, as you get to do these more and more, you're kind of skip some of these steps, so it may look a little tedious at first. But really what we're doing is we're taking the integral of each of those terms. So this is like the integral of 5t negative 2 dt plus the integral of 4t squared dt. I usually pull out the constants just to kind of make my life a little easier. So this becomes 5 integral of t negative 2 dt plus 4 t squared dt. Alright, and then from here we're going to actually take the integral and you're going to have to use the power rule. And so this 5 stays outside here, but if you look at the power rule, n is your exponent here, and so the power rule states that you're going to have 1 over n plus 1, so negative 2, that was our n here, plus 1, and then it's going to be t to the n plus 1, which is negative 2 plus 1, which is negative 1. Okay, so that's the first one there. And then we have the plus 4. Oh, and I should say there's a plus constant, right, plus a c, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. And then if you look at the second one, if there's a 4, and we're going to do the same thing. It's going to be multiplied by 1 over, this is my n here, 2, so n plus 1, which is 2 plus 1, and then t to the n plus 1, so add 1, so to the third, and then I guess we should say plus that c. Now I know we should technically write this plus c both times, but when you have two constants added together, you get another constant, so I tend to leave it at the end, but feel free to write them out each time. So this is, if I simplify this, 5 times, what is this, negative 1, t to the negative 1, plus 4 times the third, t cubed, plus c. And if you want to just clean that up a little bit, that is going to give me negative 5t to the negative 1, plus 4 thirds, t cubed, plus c. And depending on, what you're comfortable with, I tend to write things, I don't like saying negative exponents, I tend to write it so that you don't see the negative exponent. But, not all professors like that. Sometimes they want to see with the negative one there. So in any case, these are equivalent to each other, and that is for part A. So let's take a look at part B. Alright, so we've got some trig functions here. Okay, so same idea. We're going to split this up. Really, you're taking the integral of sine here, and then the integral of secant squared. Make sure you make reference to that reference sheet there that we provided for you. And if you know your integrals, great. If you don't, please use that. But really, when we're looking at this first part here, if I take the integral of sine, that gives me negative cosine. And again, that constant, right? And if I take the integral of secant squared, that gives me tangent. And then plus that constant. Now remember, the constants, if you add a constant with another constant, just gives you a bigger constant. So the integral here is going to be negative cosine t plus tan t plus c. So that one was actually a little bit easier, as long as you know your integrals.